Don't be so gloomy. You lose this case, nobody's going to jail.
Oh, hey, what is this talking about losing? What kind of attorneys are you, anyway?
We're depressed attorneys. We only got one more witness left. Not you, boss.
Please, don't remind me.
Let's go and take your place.
See ya.
She'd made a copy of that damn letter before Raven got her hands on it. No sense beating ourselves up. We didn't realize it was going to be that important.
Well, it would have made all the difference in this trial because it would have helped prove that she didn't want the baby.
You know, it's so unfair. The life of one little boy is revolving around one little piece of paper.
Leases, bills, insurance policy, and about $500 in cash. That's it.
Well, I don't think the motive could have been robbery anyway, even if the killer had opened the safe.
Oh, well, the safe was shut tight as a drum when Elliott was killed.
All I can find here is paper clips and rubber bands and a couple of notes, bills. That's it.
You know, Red, I'm not really sure this makes any sense at all. I mean, we didn't find anything the first time we went through, and so what? Elliott mentioned a document.
It was just a peculiar time to mention it, Calvin, that's all.
If there had been a special document, the killer might have taken it with him.
You know, that's the second time you've done that.
Done what?
Said him. What kind of a sexist remark is that, anyway? Why couldn't the killer have been a woman?
Mr. Nelson, are you prepared to call your next witness?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. We'd like to call Mr. Logan Swift at this time.
Mr. Logan Swift, please take the stand.
Place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
State your name.
Logan Swift.
Be seated.
Mr. Swift, you're the district attorney in Monticello.
Yes, I am.
It's a very responsible position.
I would say that, yes.
The chief prosecuting attorney in Monticello. Very aware of justice. Aware of the difference between truth and falsehood.
Objection, Your Honor. I'm sure the court is well aware of the function of Mr. Swift's office.
Your Honor, it is just part of the characterization of the witness.
Judge, we readily concede that Mr. Swift is in favor of truth and justice and the American flag and, motherhood.
Your Honor, I think...
Let's do without this colloquy, gentlemen, if you don't mind. You may proceed with your questions, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Swift, you're aware that law and custom usually favor the mother in a child custody suit, aren't you?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
And yet, you are suing for custody of your child because you believe it's in his best interest.
Yes, I do.
You honestly feel that Raven Swift is not capable of raising a healthy, happy, normal child, correct?
No, I do not.
Would you please tell the court the circumstances which led to the separation between you and your wife?
Objection, Your Honor. Counsel's trying to change this into a divorce proceeding.
Yes, Mr. Nelson, I still fail to see how this question applies to the welfare of the child.
Well, surely, Your Honor, if we could establish infidelity in the case
Your
of
Honor,
Mrs. Swift...
we request a ruling.
I'll sustain the objection.
Yes, Your Honor. All right, just before your separation, where was your baby Jaimey at that time?
My wife had arranged for friends of ours to look after him, the Scotts. She was supposed to have joined me on a campaign tour that I was making.
Ah, but she didn't. Why not?
She was busy.
Objection?
All right. I'll withdraw the question. Now, after the separation from your wife, she went off to London. She left the baby with the Scotts, correct?
That's correct.
What did you do when you found out about that?
Well, I went to the Scotts, to my friend, Mr. Scott, and found that she had literally given the baby to them to raise as their own.
Objection, Your Honor. There's absolutely no proof of this contention.
The objection is overruled, Mr. Rutledge.
Thank you, Your Honor. Go on, Mr. Swift.
Well, I asked Mr. Scott to return my son to me, and he, of course, agreed. I then took Jaimey to my apartment, where I made suitable accommodations for competent daycare.
Where he would have remained had Mrs. Swift not come back from London and abducted him from you.
Objection, Your
All
Honor.
right, all right. Had Mrs. Swift not come back and taken the baby from you without your knowledge or permission, correct?
She took him from Monticello General just as he was due to be discharged after an illness. I cannot fault the hospital for this. They were simply following established procedure. But there's no question that it was underhanded on the part of my wife.
Did you try to repossess your son by similar underhanded methods?
No, I did not.
Well, isn't it common in cases such as these that the parents would simply kidnap their baby back again? I'm sure you must have run into similar situations while you were district attorney.
It does happen. There were 4 such cases in Monticello this year.
Yet you chose to come to the courts to solve your problem.
That's correct.
Why? And you knew the odds were against you. I mean, you're certainly aware of custom here, and you're aware of the prejudice that exists in the court.
Mr. Nelson, please.
Oh, Your Honor, that wasn't a personal attack. It's just that it is true. Mr. Swift is a member of our profession. He knows that the courts operate under a philosophy that women are better parents than men, however erroneous that philosophy may be. Yet he chose to come into court here rather than to commit a crime.
Objection, Your Honor. This
Your
is
Honor, I
no longer
feel...
simple testimony.
I feel that this man should have the right to say what he feels about his son. He should have the right to speak up. He should have the right to say why he is a better parent. And I think for the sake of Jaimey Swift, he should be able to say it now.
Well, the court has no objection to hearing a statement from the father, Mr. Nelson.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I know it is very unusual for the father to be the person that raises a child, but it is being done, and it can be done well if there is enough love. I love Jaimey. I love him very much, and I do not believe that he can get that kind of love in the custody of his mother. I won't speak against her. She is what she is. I accepted that. I married her. We had a child together. But my son caused me to see my wife differently. The fact that she and I are wrong for each other as husband and wife is of no consequence. What's important is that she is the wrong mother for that little boy. I do not believe that she loves him. Perhaps she doesn't even love herself. I don't know. I do know that you will be harming 2 lives if you grant custody to her. Now, one of them doesn't matter that much. My life is not the issue here, but Jaimey's life matters. It matters very much. Well, it's hard enough to get through this world as it is without love. It's almost impossible.
Yes, a glass of white wine, please.
I'll have the same.
Just a glass of tomato juice.
Give me the menus meanwhile.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't believe it, but I am very hungry. I suppose I shouldn't be after what happened in court today.
Well, nothing's really happened, April. Trial isn't over yet.
Come on, I think it went very well for us. Logan made a fine statement. He was very impressive.
Made me want to cry.
Yes.
I don't blame you. It was very sad. And the saddest part of it was that Logan, he looked like he already lost the case.
Oh, don't say that. They haven't even brought in a verdict.
And it's not going to come in for a couple of days. No, what evidence was presented today, Judge Lewis is going to have to look at, and it's going to take quite a while before he makes his decision.
Draper, if you ask me, I think he already made that decision the first day of the trial, and he's just waiting to make it look like he's taken time to consider the whole thing.
April, that's not true. Judge Lewis is a good man. He just wants to make sure that what is done right.
Well, Draper, what do you think he is going to do? What kind of chance does Logan have?
Nancy, I don't like to make predictions. Logan made a fine statement. He looked like he obviously believed what he was saying. All right, you want the truth. The rules of evidence apply in a custody case just the same way they do in any other trial. But where was it? Where was the evidence that proved Raven an unfit mother?
I know where it is. Or I know where it went. God, I hate myself so much for what happened to that letter because I was so stupid. No, I was trusting. I was naive. I should have known better. I should have known not to let Raven get within 10 feet of that letter. Look, I'm sorry. No more of that.
Look, Draper, could I talk to you about something? I know we all have Logan on our minds, but I am a little concerned about something else.
Sure. Yeah.
It's my nephew, Kelly.
Are you upset because he lost his job?
Well, honey, everybody at the Unicorn lost their job because of Elliott's death.
I can't accept he's been murdered. And so violently. Just like my mother.
It's probably a needless death, too. I mean, let's face it.
Oh, thank you.
They're probably going to find out that the murderer was a drunk or an addict or something.
Yeah, that's right. That's what Mike said when I talked to him a little while ago. He said probably we won't have anything to be concerned about in just a matter of a day or two.
What are you talking about being concerned? Why? What's the matter?
Last night, Kelly had a fight with Elliott Dorn. Now, I'm not talking about a quarrel. I'm talking about a fight, a violent one.
Did he tell anybody about this?
Yes, he went to the police with it. I went with him.
Why was it violent?
Well, it had something to do with Nicole's sister, Jody. You know, she was a waitress at the Unicorn, and apparently Elliott was becoming a bit too familiar with her, and Kelly didn't like it. So he attacked Elliott, and Elliott wound up being slightly injured, and Kelly without a job.
And then Dorn wound up dead. Look, Nancy, are you afraid that Kelly might be implicated in this, that he might even be considered a suspect?
Yes, I am.
Wow. Well, in that case, I'd love to talk to him.
Thank you, Draper. I really would appreciate that. Mike would, except he's not here, so...
Certainly.
Thank you.
Hey, boss. I'd be careful if I were you.
What are you talking about?
Well, you know, you're wearing your heart on your sleeve, and it shows. Here's to you, boss. You were terrific in that courtroom. You had him eating out of your hand.
Yeah. Thanks, Deb. Too bad the spectators can't decide the case.
Hey, come on, Judge Lewis had to be touched. I was touched. I was blubbering all over my notes.
It's funny. I don't even remember what I said. Not a word.
I'll tell you, it was terrific. Take my word for it.
It won't do any good. You take my word for that.
Hey, what do you mean? Come on. The game isn't over till the last man is out. You know that.
The last man is out, Cliff. We've run out of witnesses. We're going to run out of rabbits. We've run out of hats. When court reconvenes after lunch, I think you should rest the case. That way we can all go home.
Do you want to go home without your son?
I have a choice.
Hey, Scarlett! Scarlett! Come on, over here.
Hello, Cliff.
Hi, how are you?
Well, afternoon, counselors.
Hi, Calvin.
Logan, you been in court all day?
Oh, yes. Why don't you two join us? That way I can hear somebody else talk, other than my lawyer.
Well, actually, we've only got time for a sandwich or something. Deborah and I are still on duty.
Well, look, why don't you join us? I'll pay for the sandwich.
With an offer like that, how can we refuse?
How's the Dorn case going? You about to crack it?
Oh, look, if you find out who did it, give him my card, okay?
Thanks a lot. I wouldn't hold your breath, Cliff. All those announcements about an imminent arrest are just department propaganda. Actually, we haven't got a clue.
Come on, you must have some suspects. This guy must have had an enemy list longer than this menu.
Well, it's true he had a lot of enemies, but I just don't know anybody who hated him enough to stab him in the back, do you?
My name would be on that list, though. You want my alibi now or later?
Come to think of it, where were you when you got it, Logan?
Oh, Calvin, stop it.
Hey, look, you don't think that Logan would... Hey, you know, maybe you better take this card. You have the right to remain silent until I get there.
I don't think so.
Well, guess what we've been doing all morning? We've been going through Elliott's office.
Looking for the clues.
Yeah. The whole place has been gone over thoroughly for fingerprints and that kind of stuff.
Hey, you know, maybe you've probably found 1,000 of them in a disco. You should have gone over for footprints. Disco footprints?
Yeah, Cliff.
Actually, what we were looking for was a mysterious document that we heard about.
Who'd you hear about that from?
Actually, this particular clue came from your wife.
Raven, you're kidding.
Calvin, I don't think we ought to get into this right now.
It's a little late, I'd say. You're into it. What does Raven have to do with all this?
Well, actually, it was what Elliott said to her the night he was killed. He said he was going back to his office to get a document and that he would see her in court.
Right. It was the chief himself who overheard this little exchange. But if there was a document of any significance there, we certainly didn't recognize it.
Yeah, or the killer could have taken it away with him.
Or with her.
Well, I know where I want to start looking for a new job. Close to Gavin's studio.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You have to stay close to dear old Gavin.
Well, I just don't want to have to walk a lot of blocks every day or take a half-an-hour bus ride back and forth.
Well, you may not have much luck finding a job in this neighborhood. At least you'll have a better chance than I will.
You're not going to try and work for another disco, are you?
Well, sure. I'll work anywhere out where I can perform with the Poco puppets. Do you realize something? When I'm unemployed, there are over 50 puppets out of work.
Oh, well, maybe they can collect unemployment insurance.
No, you can't stand in line.
Oh, yeah, that could be a problem.
Well, finding a job for me may not be much of a problem any longer. Might be making big ones into little ones.
Big what into what?
I'm sorry, it's just an expression. Breaking big rocks into little rocks, like in a penitentiary.
What are you talking about?
Jody, hasn't it occurred to you that somebody might think that I... Never mind, I shouldn't be joking about it.
Kelly, you don't think that... Now, that's ridiculous. How could somebody think that you had something to do with what happened to Elliott Dorn?
You were with me, Jody. You saw what happened last night.
Kelly, I was also there when you left. You took me home. Kelly, you didn't go back to the Unicorn, did you? I mean, you told me you changed your mind about going back there.
Yes, I changed my mind after I got there. Well, when I got to the door, I turned around and walked away.
Then, Kelly, you're worrying about absolutely nothing.
But just in case, do you promise you'll come visit me if I end up in jail?
Oh, stop being silly.
No. Will you bake me a big cake with a file in it?
You're funny, Kelly. You're also crazy, though. You do know that.
So you don't think I have any problem at all, huh?
Well, of course not. Kelly, I'm sure you're not the only person that had a fight with Elliott Dorn. Just like I'm not the only girl he ever... You know, I just realized something. I never said thank you.
What for?
Well, even though you should have never gotten that violent, you know what you did for me. And I guess I should say thank you, and I never have.
It's never too late, you know.
Well, I just said it. Thank you.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. I guess you're standing too far away.
Thank you.
All rise. Be seated.
Mr. Nelson, do you wish to call any other witnesses? Oh, Counselor. Counselor, I asked you a question.
I'm sorry, Your Honor.
Do you wish to call any other witnesses?
We have no further witnesses at this time, Your Honor.
Then you are prepared to rest your case?
No, Your Honor. At this time, I'd like to ask for a continuance.
Well, for what purpose, Mr. Nelson?
Well, we have discovered some new evidence which we think may be pertinent to this case.
Your Honor, is there any reason to delay these painful proceedings any longer than necessary?
Just one moment, please, Mr. Rutledge. Mr. Nelson, what is the nature of this evidence that you have uncovered?
Well, I'm not really free to divulge the nature of it, but I can assure you that it will certainly be pertinent to the case, Your Honor.
Cliff, what are you doing?
Well, all that I'm asking is some time to examine whether or not this evidence will come to light. Surely in a case involving a child's life, one day wouldn't matter.
All right, Mr. Nelson. I don't think any great harm can be caused by a delay of one day in this matter.
Your Honor, this is nothing more than an attempt to stall the inevitable. And it's really most unfair to my client, who's been...
But your client already has possession of the child, Mr. Rutledge. Now, I think we can grant Mr. Swift and his attorney one more day. This court will stand adjourned until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
All rise.
What is going on here? What are they trying to do?
I haven't the slightest idea.
Would it be too much trouble for you to tell me precisely what the hell you are doing? We have no new evidence. You're only going to make a bad situation much worse.
Yes, but we are going to have evidence by tomorrow morning. Remember what Scarlett said about Elliott Dorn having some sort of document?
Yeah, what about it?
I'll bet you that document is Raven's letter.
Seems as though a harmony is hard to find. Always on my mind. And frustrated days pass without sight. The edge of night, half dark, half light. Do you think we might wake up someday and be aware of all the games people play? Living circles of unending strife as we look for light, and nothing is wrong and nothing is right.